So when did you realize that you were violated? That this, I mean, other than maybe a suspicion that this was kind of thing that was going on, like when did you know for sure that your rights were violated, and before you even could draw the connection between that and whatever the subcontracting agency is with the CIA?
Honestly, I think perhaps we were a little naive, but I had no idea that the U.S. government was actually spying on us until months and months after Julian had actually left the embassy. He was forcibly removed from the embassy and put into Belmarsh maximum security jail in April of 2019. And it wasn't until articles appeared in the Spanish press, El País, that we learned that the guards at the embassy, who we had assumed were Ecuadorian government employees, security guards employed by the government who had given Julian sanctuary, and so we assumed that they were friendly and they were very nice. We learned through the El País articles that the guards were in fact from a private Spanish security company called UC Global, Undercover Global, that had been engaged by the Ecuadorian government early on, 2012, 2013, to provide security services. And then it later transpired, and we didn't learn this again until the reporting in El País, which was based on a whistleblowing from some of the guards who weren't happy with how Julian was treated, that in fact the CIA had been orchestrating this thing all along.
Yeah, the irony should not be lost that they would be spying on somebody who they're accusing of spying. Like the irony of the whole thing is just beyond, and it's an outrage. And so where is this case now? I saw that there's a judge that's been assigned to this case.
Yes, we have Judge Kodal in the Southern District of New York, federal court. The complaint was just filed on August 15th, and the defendants have to be served. And there is, in fact, a preliminary conference that's been scheduled for October 17th, where the judge for the first time meets the parties and gets a sense of what's going to happen with the case. I do need to. There is an irony that they're being accused of spying, but it is the CIA. That is kind of their job, to spy. What they're not allowed to do is illegally search and seize documents from American citizens who have constitutional rights not to be unreasonably yeah, exactly. So that's the real issue. It's a little bit of a fine point. I mean, it's, of course they can spy. That's kind of, if we can just talk about whether that's appropriate, but it's certainly legal for them to spy. It's not legal for the CIA to surreptitiously spy. It's like sort of like eavesdropping without a warrant. It's that kind of level of inappropriate government behavior and government overreach. I
would actually argue it's a violation of Julian's, Sixth Amendment. If they want to be, trying him according to our laws, maybe he should be granted our rights. Because would you also? The fact that you're there in a legal capacity also is obviously there's like a huge violation of privilege that isn't even, you wouldn't even need to just go after constitutional violation, but that's like a huge violation of privilege.
Yes. Right. As of today, there is an indictment, but Julian's not in front of the U.S. courts until he's extradited, which we're obviously hoping won't even happen. At that point, his lawyers can certainly assert a violation of his Sixth Amendment rights, because he will then have such a right. Because of the fact that Barry Pollock was, and Michael Ratner before him, who were his U.S. criminal lawyers, visited him on many, many occasions and were certainly subjected to the same kind of scrutiny that we were. And additionally, his UK lawyers, who were strategizing for an ongoing extradition proceeding that is being basically the US is asking for that relief, and they're working with the UK government to help the US get that relief. So it's completely inappropriate that they are having any idea what goes on in private conversations between the attorney client. But this gets to the whole core of the matter, though, is that what is the U.S. government? I mean, Julian doesn't have any constitutional rights right now. He's an Australian citizen.
Right.
He's. I don't even know if he's ever stepped foot in the United States. I mean, certainly not since the disclosures that we're talking about, if ever. The idea that the U.S. government has any business indicting a foreign reporter for embarrassing this foreign reporter, the U.S. government, by just telling the truth, by revealing facts that were leaked by a verified, newsworthy. I mean, this is what journalists are supposed to do. They're supposed to tell us the news. It may not be. They're supposed to be holding the government to account. He's doing exactly what journalists are taught in journalism school they're supposed to do, and this is a crime. We are criminalizing journalism, and it just blows my mind that the journalist community isn't up in arms about this.
Yeah, for some reason, it's one of those things like, yes, we support these things, except for Julian Assange. It's like one of those things that they're just not willing to go out and talk about. And yet if this happens, like if this actually was followed through all the way and you get a conviction, that's the end of our First Amendment. Like the end. And I don't think, and I've been saying this for so many years, it's a huge problem. And this is by no means, I mean, Nathan, I know you could talk about the amount of whistleblowers and the issues that we have in this country regarding that. But I don't know that there's somebody in the past that would be identified as a publisher/journalist that would be prosecuted. That to me is very unique.
This would set a precedent. There have been attempts in the past to do it. Around in the time of the Pentagon Papers, the Nixon administration attempted to prevent the New York Times from publishing, but this would be the first conviction. And we think a conviction is all but guaranteed if he is extradited here. So yeah, it's extremely worrying, and they have not been loud enough or voluminous enough, but there are reporters out there who are saying, this is the kind of stuff that I do every day. This is what gets these big stories on the front page of the New York Times and Washington Post. This is what they would make illegal, this basic reporting that you count on every day. It's just kind of the internet version of a lot of these things, of communicating with the source, encouraging your source to not get in trouble and say, this is what would be in the public interest and what isn't. They're actually attempting to criminalize every step of the process, from speaking with your source, getting that information, publishing it, every step of the way. And of course, they first prosecuted the source in Chelsea Manning. And although she was eventually released after 7 years, they have the precedent on the books of a 35-year prison sentence for her. So the whole point is absolutely a chilling effect here, and to discourage people from following in Chelsea and Julian's footsteps. I just want to pick up on another point that Deb had said earlier about, and that you were talking about earlier about the attorney-client privilege. And I think it's worth noting this is one of many aspects in which the US and UK have colluded to hamper Julian's ability just to participate in his own legal defense. So having these conversations spied on, but also the day he was arrested, April 11th, 2019, so Ecuador allowed UK police to come in the embassy and arrest him, forcibly remove him. But all of his documents and his computers, his devices, were actually sent on to the U.S. They were just given to the government that is prosecuting him. So the chain of custody on those broke very quickly, and so it's basically it's a discovery issue. Having your opponent's entire legal case, you have all the information, everything they want to argue well ahead of time. And so this process has now gone on for several years. He's been in prison for nearly 3.5 years. And the U.S. has had the upper hand the entire time, and it's just attempting to punish him by process, if not eventually by conviction.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.